Hi everyone, I welcome you back in this exciting learning journey of machine learning operations. We are simplifying MLOps and DevOps for you. My name is Vipul and I'll be the mentor for this video. Now we will dive into the final most exciting step of our machine learning pipeline, that is making the predictions. We'll be walking through Predict.py, that file that I have created, and which will use the trained model to predict the outcome. The trained model already we have, that you can see classification.pkl. We'll break down it line by line, explain the logic, or you can say prediction logic, and demonstrate how it works. By the end of this video, you will be confident with the things like how can we reuse the model that we already created or we already saved. So here, the process involved loading the trained model, accessing the dataset on which you want to make the predictions, and finally make the predictions. To do all these things, first we need to import the required libraries. All right. So first I need to import NumPy. So import NumPy as np, then import joblib. Why joblib? To access the trained model file. Thereafter import pandas as pd. Thereafter I will import over here system. Is it required? Okay, let's see. Basically I need this thing, the trained model, which is, that is pickle file, which is actually existing in trained models, and it is the predict.py is not within any sub package, so I guess I can directly access it. Anyway, let's see, if required we'll do it. From config import config. Why? Because everything related to the test data is stored in the config. Okay, like you can see over here in the config file, we have defined that what is going to be my test file name, isn't it? That's why first I need to access config file. Next, what we need to do, let's see. I need to import few things such as train model. So for that, it can be from trained model. All right. Now I need to import few things such as load data. That means from, if you see over here in the handling, I'll import this load data and load pipeline, because I have to load the data for making the predictions, and load pipeline will be used to load the model that we saved. All right. So from pre-processing, or you can say from processing dot data handling, import load data and then load pipeline. All right. So these are the things we imported. Next, we will do what? With the help of load pipeline, we will load the model. Okay. I don't need to, kind of import this train model directly. If I will trigger this function, that is load pipeline function. So load pipeline function will do what? Load pipeline function will directly access the pipeline, or you can say model, that we already saved. Okay, because here all the logics are already defined, that from which logic it needs to access the model. So load pipeline, here we will feed config dot the model name that we have already defined in the config section. All right. Okay. And this thing I can just store over here, let's say model. Okay. So let's say this is my model that will be loaded. Next, what I need to do, I need to create a function which can give me the predictions or generate the predictions, right? So for that, let's say def generate predictions. All right. Here we will write the logic. So for this, first we required what? We require to access the test data. So what is test data? Test data can be equals to, I'll use load data. Okay. And in the load data, we'll feed what? The data. Where is data defined? It is defined in config dot the test file. Here is test file, right? All right. Next, what we do, once the data is loaded, we have to make the prediction. So for making the prediction, I'll define a variable called pred and then underscore model dot what? Predict, right? And what I have to predict, I have to make the predictions on the test data. So it's like from the test data also we required only the features, isn't it? It's not like that I can make the prediction on everything. Okay, I just required the features, those features which are used for the training, right? So for that I'll use over here test data. Okay, and here I'll feed config dot, what are the features used for the training that we have defined here? So these are the features that we used for the training, right? So let's see. All right. So it will make the predictions. All right. Now the predicted value I can just print, or we can do what, I can define a result over here. Result will be equals to predictions, comma pred. Okay. And then return result. So this guy will just try to generate the prediction for the complete data set which we are going to use as a test data. Now I'll use what, if name main and then I will just trigger the generate predictions. Now I'll say how good is it, or is it working or not. Okay. So for the purpose, I'll just trigger this thing. Okay. So you can say it is showing that there is no data, right? Obviously, because we have not saved any data file as a test data over here. If you see in the dataset folder, okay, we are having only lone train, right? So what I do, I'll also put the data set using which I need to make the predictions. So I'll just upload the data set in a moment. So you can see now I have saved the test loan over here, and the test loan is a name I guess I have defined in the config test underscore loan.csv, isn't it? Yeah, right. So now I have uploaded it. Now let's see if this guy is working or not. So this is working, but we are getting some exception over here or error over here, right? No, we are not getting any error. It is just some kind of a warning we are getting. It is not printing anything because it is the result we are returning. If I want to print it, I need to do what? I need to just print over here. Okay, I need to use print function over here. So let's see. Okay, now I'll execute. Okay, you can see it is making the predictions on complete test data. There is one more way we can execute it, and that is what? Through command prompt. So for executing through command prompt, what I need to do, I need to go to the same location where my file is saved. I'll show you. Let's say my file is saved in the D drive. So I'll just open it up. I'll save. See, here is my file saved. You can see ML project. Within ML project, I have loan app, and within loan app, I have what over here? Predict, right? So I'll do what? I'll just launch it. Let's say command prompt. Okay. So this is a location where my file is saved. I will cross check if predict file is there or not. Yeah, it's there. So I'll do what? I'll just execute Python predict.py. Okay. And I'll say what happened. So it's working. That's why we're not getting any error. But the thing is, I'm not getting any output as well because it is returning something, right? And that returned value we have to print, right? So let's see. I'll go back and make some changes. Let's say I'll do what? Along with the print result, return result, let me also print result. Okay, I'll make the change saved over here. Again, I'll go back to our command prompt. All right. And again, I'll call the same thing. So things are working perfectly. That means my model that I created is working over here, and it is making the predictions on the data that I had given over here. So let's revisit what we all did. First, we created a config file in which we defined the configurations of my project. Next, we created a dataset folder in which we saved our dataset. Processing folder is having two things: data handling, in which we are loading the data. We wrote a logic to load the data, thereafter saving the model, and then accessing the model. Data pre-processing, all the data pre-processing tasks that we defined. And then we have a pipeline in which the training pipeline, and the training pipeline getting triggered by, so the pipeline is getting triggered by what? training pipeline. Training pipeline is accessing your pipeline and fit the data into it. And pipeline is having all the things in a sequential manner. And once we fit the data into this pipeline, first the mean imputation happened, then mode imputation, then domain processing, then drop the columns, label encoder, log transform, min max scale, and the logistic regression. Once it is done, we are saving the pipeline by calling save pipeline function. And where is save pipeline function? It is over here in the data handling. So save pipeline function will save your model, and the model gets saved over here in the trained models folder. And once it is done, we can use the prediction logic over here, in which first we are accessing the required files and modules. These are inbuilt, these are created by us. And then we access the model, and using that model we are making the predictions. And that predictions we are printing and we are returning. Later on we don't need to print, we just return it. In the next video of the series, we'll see how can we write a test script that will automatically test whether my project is good or not. That means, is there any error possible, or at the deployment, to avoid the risk of any error at the deployment stage, or you can say for the operations team, the test script will automatically test the things. We will use PyTest module that we had already discussed earlier. So through PyTest, we'll write the test script for our project. That will be the next thing that we are going to learn. Thank you everyone. Stay safe, keep learning, and do comment if you have any doubts that you want to ask.